Greetings and salutations. This is a long-awaited BSSM update. It has been a hot minute since I've done my last one, so sorry, I'm the worst. Yes, and Mistletoe's eager to make an appearance here, obviously. I guess I'm just gonna do the video like this, so it's fine. Yeah, so today I'm gonna be talking about kind of a theme that's been going on since I got here, really, and it's just kind of like snowballed and gotten bigger, and God's been revealing more and more of it to me, and it's been like an onion, discovering more layers, as Shrek would say. Their hearts are like onions. I think mine's like an onion too. Just hopefully not as stinky or making you cry. Anyways, what was I saying? Oh, yeah. So the thing I'm going to talk about is Christmas, joy, and the Grinch. Yes, very random. So at the beginning of this year, back in January, God gave me this word for the year, and I think I've probably mentioned this a gazillion times in my other videos, but He gave me the word rest. Let's be honest, I just gave up doing the whole New Year's resolutions thing because there's just too many things in my life that I could change, and so just dealing with one word instead of a whole list is a lot easier. So God gave me the word rest, which is really like the opposite of like a to-do list. It's like, don't do your to-do list, which is very hard for me. Anyway, so rest, right? So come here to BSSM, Bethel School of Supernatural Ministry, and everyone's having like these crazy encounters, right? And I've been kind of like experiencing a lot of different emotions about those. Like I made a video about that called Core Values and Manifestations, kind of just explaining my thought process behind like what I'm experiencing and like what my thoughts are in regards to like everyone like being slain in the spirit or having holy laughter or however they're touched by God. And I'm just like, okay, what's happening, right? Anyways, nothing like that's happened to me. And so like part of me on one hand is like, I don't know if I even want that because that looks weird, and I don't really know if I feel comfortable, and like walls go up and no, right? The other part of me is like, but like kind of jealous, like if that's real, like how come that's not happening to me? Like what am I doing wrong? Like why isn't God like touching me that way? This whole anyways, it's weird. But one thing I have noticed is that like I tend to like when I feel God's presence in the room, like I just really feel like a worshipful moment, I'll tend to just like fall asleep. And at first I was super frustrated because I was like, ugh, Grace, you're paying a lot of money to be here. Like you literally like moved across the entire country and you're paying a gazillion dollars in tuition and rent to experience this, and you're just gonna sleep through it. That's a great plan, And so I was super frustrated with myself, and I'm like, I need to drink more coffee, I need to go to bed earlier or something. But then someone pointed out to me, a friend of mine here was like, well, back up. It first started this falling asleep thing, listening to Christmas music, right? Went over to a friend's house, they were doing worship, and then at some point they decided to switch over to Christmas music, and this was like in October. But hey, 2020 has been a year, so like nobody has the right to judge wanting to start Christmas music in October, okay? I just don't want to hear it. Yeah, so, and I just immediately like felt like so much love, hope, joy, peace, like whatever, and I just like felt so calm and like safe and comfortable that I was just like on the sofa, just kind of like curled up, and it's like at these people's house that I just met, so it's like kind of like awkward to just fall asleep on some random person's sofa that you just meet, but it's fine. And so I fall asleep, and then like I wake up, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, this is awkward. And he was like, hey, like God told me that like you associate, he's talking to me, you associate Christmas with like peace and joy and hope and love and glad tidings and goodwill towards men and all that. And he's like, and that, so God is using that to reach you and to talk to you, because that's what his presence is about. And so he's using Christmas to reach you. And like in that moment, like it actually, I was like, yeah, that resonated in my spirit. And I was like, yeah, like I do associate Christmas with those things, and I do feel an overwhelming sense of peace. And ever since then, like I've just been falling asleep every time like there's a worshipful moment. And like as you can see, there's a bunch of Christmas lights. I have decked out my tiny little space with a bunch of Christmas lights everywhere, so I'm like surrounded by it. And yeah, it just I don't know, it's just been really like uplifting me and like affecting my mood for the better, having all these twinkly lights everywhere. Um, and I've just been getting so many people coming up to me and giving me like these prophetic words. Sorry, I do that because like it's a new thing for me still, like a prophetic word. Like, anyways, I'm not making fun of it. I'm just, anyways, about joy. And I've been getting like so many words about joy, like literally day one at registration day, like my revival group pastor was giving out like at random, like little prophetic cards, again with the quote, prophetic cards, like, with just things. What are you doing? Oh no. Giving out prophetic cards like to the students at random, not really reading them before she gives them. And mine said, of course, about joy. It was like, joy will be your prize this year, or joy will be your fuel this year. It may come different than you expect, but anyway, something like that. And I was like, okay, false, because I'm probably the least joyful person. For those of you who don't know, I've struggled with like basically like depression since like the 7th grade. Just like default melancholy, right? Like I'm sure there's a personality disorder associated with that, but like very functional, right? I'm very like type A, driven, successful, super great at multitasking, getting stuff done, always busy. So like no one really know, because like people think depressed and they think like laying in your bed, eating ice cream and watching Netflix and not doing anything, right? But I was like highly functional, but just like depressed, just like, anyway. So I was like, joy, I don't know about that. Like maybe like we can get to neutral, but probably no better. But anyways, there's just been so many like, besides that one prophetic word at registration day, there's just been like person after person coming up to me, like even random people on Facebook. Like I kid you not, like I'll get so many. I don't know if this is normal because I don't live in anybody else's life, but I'll get random messages from people on Facebook who don't know me. We're not friends. Like I don't know how they found me, and they'll message me like, "Hey, I just have a word of the Lord for you." I'm like, first of all, is this normal? People do this, and they're like, "I just feel that the Lord is going to be restoring your joy," and I'm like, who are these people? Do they like have a club meeting ahead of time to be like, all right, we're going to give this specific word to random person we don't know? Like, because it's always the same. It's always about joy. And I'm like, okay, like what is going on, right? I'm like, God, is this like, what are you doing? Anyway, so I'm gonna have to try to focus my thoughts here because I'm gonna be doing the scatterbrain tangential thing. It'll all come together, I promise. Hi mistletoe. Funny, we're talking about Christmas and here's mistletoe, right? Anyway, so rest, falling asleep, Christmas music, joy, right? And Santa Claus obviously is a carrier of joy. So, but anyway, so bajillion, quadrillion things about joy. I could just keep going on in examples, but you get the point. And so also, for those of you who don't know, because I got so many words, actually nobody knows. I think I'm making this announcement and I haven't told anybody this. I think I've told maybe like 2 people, like my revival group mentor, and I think my one close friend. But other than that, y'all will be the first to know, the whole internet. So I was on antidepressant medication, and I decided just to stop taking it on October 28th. So right before Halloween. I almost said Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is this Thursday. Anyway, so I stopped taking it on October 28th just because like I felt like I gotten so many words about joy, and I was like, okay, Grace, like, are you really gonna believe it and like claim it, or are you just gonna keep taking these medicines and hoping that like these medicines somehow is gonna bring you joy when it hasn't done so far? And just kind of like taking an act of like a step of faith. It's like God's told me through multiple people that he's going to be restoring my joy. So like my part is to like step out in faith, and like if I was like madly suicidal or like super like in danger of like hurting myself, I wouldn't have just stopped taking my medicine cold turkey. But like I was never like that bad, so it wasn't like a mental health danger. And I'm not recommending that anyone else watching this do that. Like that's between you and God and maybe your doctor. That's the other thing. I moved from Tennessee to California. I don't have a doctor out here. I don't have the money to like be trying to start, getting a new doctor and paying for more prescriptions. Like I'm already like paying a gazillion dollars for rent and I'm not working right now. So I'm like, how am I going to find a new doctor? How am I going to get a new prescription? So I was like stressing out about it. And I was like, God, I don't need this. Like you said, you're going to give me joy. I'm going to like obey and follow you. Okay. So I stopped taking my medicine. And let me tell you, the first week after taking my medicine was awful because like your body gets used to it, and like so you go through like a withdrawal, and I was just like all over the place emotionally, and like I was like, God, is this the right thing to do? Did I hear you wrong? Like, what am I doing? Like, I was just like emotional roller coaster. But then eventually my body like worked itself out, and like a week later I was like, oh, okay, I feel normal, and I was like, huh, like I feel about the same that I feel like when I was on the medicine after that week of my body adjusting to, whatever. So I was like, okay, so really the medicine wasn't doing that much for me. And because I started to like really like start declaring joy and like believing like, okay, it's possible for me it's possible for me to feel joy. Like God promised he's going to restore my joy. I started to notice like I would have like bursts, not Burt's, like Burt's Bees, Grace, like not Burt's Bees, bursts of joy, like little like starbursts of like moments of joy. You can tell I have diabetes. I don't think about this starbursts and like flavored chapstick. Anyways, maybe I didn't need medication. Maybe I just need sugar. Who needs Zoloft when there's chocolate? Anyways, sorry, scatterbrained. Oh gosh, I have no idea what I was saying. Oh, bursts of joy, right? I would have like these moments of like feeling the joy of the Lord. Anyway, so I hadn't really tell anybody about this because I don't know, I feel kind of embarrassed about telling people that I was on medication. Just for some reason there's kind of a stigma about it, like even in the church. Because part of me felt like, like if I really had faith and I was really a good Christian, then like I wouldn't be depressed and like I would believe God to heal me and I wouldn't need it. And like telling people like as a Christian that you're on medication for like mood problems, it just feels weird. I mean, like I'm not saying it should be weird. Like it's no different than I feel like if you have AIDS and you need to take medication for that. I don't know what people take for that or antivirals. Wow, I'm a nurse, Grace. Or like any other disease, but for some reason there's just like a stigma, like, well, if you really believed, you wouldn't be depressed, so like it was kind of embarrassing to tell, but I'm kind of over it now, so that's why I'm telling the whole internet. Also, there's no timer on this video, so I have no idea how long I've been talking. Hopefully not too long. Anyways, so I need to stop getting sidetracked. So I haven't really talked to anyone about what's been going on, but then this one person sent me this text message, and they said they knew they knew that people had been giving me words about joy because I had talked to them about it, but that was really all. And they said, the only storm that you can sleep in is the one that you have authority over. And he's referencing the story of Jesus on the boat where like it was storming and the disciples were freaking out and like Jesus was asleep and like during the whole storm, right? So he's saying that the only storm that you have authority over is the one that you can sleep in, because Jesus obviously had authority over the storm and he was like fast asleep because he wasn't worried because like he's bigger than the storm. So he said, you find that you keep falling asleep to Christmas music and that Christmas gives you a sense of peace and rest, back to the word rest, right? He's like, so naturally, the storm that you have authority over is the Grinch, right? Because the opposite of Christmas, or the spirit of Christmas, is the Grinch, which is funny and cute, but like it makes sense, right? Because he's like the opposite of joy. He's like sorrow and melancholy, right? So he's like, you're falling asleep to Christmas music, so you must have authority over that, which would be the Grinch. And he said, Grace, this is your season. It is this, 'tis the season for authority over sorrow. And like when he said that, I was like, wow, like that just blew my mind because I've been going through a lot emotionally here at BSSM. Since coming here, I've had to really I've been in a season of surrender. Oh, that's another thing at BSSM. They say a season for everything. Everything is a season. Like we're in a season for this, we're in a season for that. Like everything's a season. Like they love seasonings, like all the seasonings, right? So like I've been in a season of surrender. Like really just having to give stuff up, like really, really hard stuff. And that's a whole other video. I kind of made one video about it. when I put a like angelic encounter video. What is going on with my bangs? Sorry. So like you can watch that if you feel like it. But I've been having to give up a lot of stuff, and like it's been really depressing and like really hard, and so it feel like it's been stealing my joy, right? And then literally yesterday I got another. This is two totally separate people who like have not interacted in any way, right? So they don't talk. They don't even know each other. And this girl, she messaged me out of the blue, right after I got back from a prayer walk. Actually, like the moment I walked into the door, she messaged me. It was kind of weird timing, and she was like, "Hey, I just feel." I'm gonna summarize it because I don't know it verbatim. She was like, "I just feel like the Lord is gonna restore your joy. No one can take it from you because they're not allowed to, or they don't have the authority to, or something." And then she said, "I keep hearing something about the Grinch, and I'm not really sure what it is. Talk to God about it. But I feel like maybe you feel like the Grinch, and God is saying, no, you're not the Grinch. You are the carrier of joy." And like when she said that, I was like, what in the world? Like two people now, like mentioning joy, Christmas, and the Grinch, and I was like, what? Like the Grinch is very specific. Like that's a very specific word, right? And like when she said that, boom, it hit me. Like God was like, the problem with the Grinch, uh why, he didn't have joy was because of the state of his heart, right? And God told me a while back, he's like, it's no surprise or it's no coincidence that you're here at Bethel or at BSSM for 9 months, from September to, what is it, May? I think that's 9 months. I can't count. Okay, anyways, the point is, it's 9 months at school. And he was like, because it's like a pregnancy, right? He's like, I'm growing a new heart in you in the womb of my own heart. And like that came to me, and I was like, wow, God, that makes so much sense why I've been like having such a hard time like feeling. I feel like 99% of my relationship with God's in my head. I'm very cerebral, very intellectual, very logical. Like I'm very good with truth, very good with doctrine. Like I know all the Bible verses. Like I love God in my, like I love him, but like I haven't really felt it, and like I've been going out on dates with Jesus, which has been really helping, because God also told me, he's like, Grace, if you want to fall in love, you have to do the things that lovers do, because love is a choice. It's not a feeling. Like feelings will follow your choices and decisions, but if you just sit around doing nothing waiting for a feeling, it's not going to happen. So I've been going out on dates with Jesus, and it's actually been really good, and like having some good tender moments. But he's like, God was like, Grace, like you're like the Grinch whose heart is too small, and the reason is it's not anything you did wrong, but he's like, you've been giving your heart away to other things. And that's the one thing I mentioned before I had to surrender. It's like I had given my heart to things that weren't God, that I was going to for all my needs, all my emotional needs, like quality time, like turning someone for my best friend, a father figure, a source of financial support, like all these things, like I was going to everyone else but God, right? And so I had to like surrender that, and like it was like breaking my heart, like giving my heart away, right? So God was like, in order to fall in love with me, you have to fall out of love with something else, right? Because I had given my heart to something else. And so he's like, surrender it back to me. I'm growing a new heart in you, and that takes time, and I'm growing it in the womb of God's own heart. And I was like, wow. And I was just like, this whole thing about Christmas, and I just have so much anticipation for like when Christmas actually gets here. Like I just feel like God's gonna do something amazing. Like I don't usually say things like that, because what if it doesn't happen? You send it on the internet, it's like, oh my gosh. But like I really believe it, because like it's just, even another random girl like who doesn't know anything about this like came up to me, she's like, I just feel the Lord saying Christmas to you. Like that was it. And I was just like what in the world? Like usually people give like a whole like essay long thing of things, but she's like, I just feel the Lord saying Christmas. And I was just like okay. So I really feel like God's gonna do something, and I'm really excited to see like what he's going to do in my heart. Like obviously any heart that God can grow is going to be better than whatever I had or whatever I gave away. But anyways, I want to show a little picture that I drew, kind of a prophetic picture. I don't know if that's how this works because I'm still learning, but anyways, it's a little doodle. The quality is terrible. Okay, so well, that is the Grinch. He's gasping like, oh, how dare you take authority over me, little girl. And this is Cindy Lou-Who, and it says, 'tis the season for authority over sorrow, because that's what he represents. And oh, Cindy Lou Who is carrying an ornament, and it says carrier of joy, because that's who I am. It's Gracie Lou-Who. Obs. Yes. So I think that is all. Probably this video is probably like 20 minutes long. Don't know. Anyway, so yes, rest, Christmas, joy, and the Grinch. And now you're all caught up on my life. Thank you, and you're welcome. Bye.